My name is Courage, and I'll be on the microphone making sure that things go like they should this morning. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, perhaps the most acceptable definition for tech is the fact that it is something that helps to make life easier and makes man to achieve whatever he wants to achieve with ease. And so today, we've come together to culminate what has been some days of activity in the Akwa Ibom Tech ecosystem. It is the grand finale of the Akwa Ibom Tech Week, and we have been considering the theme, positioning the Akwa Ibom youth for global success in the 21st century. Perhaps everybody agrees and everybody accepts the fact that tech has been the singular thing that has lifted the Nigerian youth, the African youth, from obscurity to a position where almost anywhere in the world you go, in the world of tech, you are bound to find a Nigerian youth. And we are gathered here to ensure that when we are counting Nigerian youths who are in tech, when we are counting notable Nigerians who are making exploits in the world of tech, would also find very great and notable young Akwa Ibomites who are also making exploits in this world of tech. And so, ladies and gentlemen, welcome you to the grand finale of the Akwa Ibom State Tech Week 2021. To start things off for us this morning, I set the tone and let us know what direction this event will go today. Please welcome someone who many regard as one of the strongest pillars of the tech ecosystem in Akwa Ibom State. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend and brother, Hanson Johnson.
It is with great pleasure that I welcome all of us to the grand finale of Akwa Ibom Tech Week 2021. Today is a dream come true in the history of our ecosystem, which is still emerging. The week started on Monday, 13 September 2021, with an IoT fair at Eket, Code House, Eket, followed by Tech for Agri Symposium at the Quincy Academy, Oron. On Tuesday, we had build sessions on product modeling at Future Labs, Ikot Igbene, and a virtual session on extended reality by Dave Lander. Then in New York on Wednesday, Start Innovation Hub had code lab sessions on Google and Facebook technology. The Root Hub hosted creative opportunities in the ecosystem, while Code Cargo gave us a deep dive into the future of blockchain technology. On Thursday, Youth Alive Foundation, Ibom E-Library, and Eureka Labs hosted events on civic space engagement, leveraging technology, and the future of jobs. We had Anedi Udobong, program manager at Google, in charge of Sub-Saharan Africa, reps from Yotoro Foundation and other ecosystem players join us in the tour of hubs across the central district in our state. Looking back, 10 years ago, for all this to be achievable, we would have needed a huge budget to import speakers from abroad, not from Nigeria. Having technical talent around used to be a dream, but today, it's more rather having a unicorn with headquarters in Akwa Ibom State that is now our dream. We are no more dreaming to have talent because we have talent and we are still producing them. And for this event to be successful today, it's the contribution from local talent that's making this possible. So we are not scared to even dream bigger because we are sure 3 years from today we should have a local organization or company, startup, maybe from one of the people that submitted their pitch decks, come up to scale and go global. We need to sustain this, and we know that coming together to achieve greatness requires support for sustainability. The surprise visit. On 2nd July 2020, we had a guest, Mr. Udo Minoyo, who paid us a surprise visit at Start Innovation Hub. He came with Mr. Imeowa, and two of them were in His Excellency, Mr. Udo Emmanuel's post-COVID-19 economic recovery team. I've never met Mr. Inoyo before, neither did we have any prior conversation. He made us understand that they were having economic recovery team meeting, and in their conversation, our name popped up. Then he asked that they bring him to our office. He came without invitation and visited us. It was a surprising visit. Then, when he was leaving, he said, "Hanson, I will be back." He never came back physically, but virtually he's always there. After the visit, we've had conversation on how we can help position more Akwa Ibom youth for global success in the 21st century. Today, Architect Week has given us a platform to do justice to that, and with Know Your Toro Foundation as sponsors. The Akwa Ibom of our dreams is a smart city with a thriving innovation ecosystem driven by local content. We know this is possible because if we can dream it, we can achieve it. We cannot achieve this effectively without government and the academia working together with the private sector for the common good of the people. The problems. The overall financial inclusion target was 80% by 2020. EFINA data shows that only 64% of Nigerian adults were financially included by the end of 2020. This means that 36% of Nigerian adults, or 38 million adults, all of us here are adults, so this data captures us also, 38 million adults remain completely financially excluded. When data like this give us reason to profile solutions, the regulatory landscape says otherwise. Not just in finance, but power, education, and other sectors. Where regulations don't stifle, there will be an infrastructure deficit. But we still believe we can position ourselves for global success in the 21st century. The success of today's outing wouldn't have been possible without selfless contributions from our rockstar speakers who are endorsing this cause. We say thank you to Nsikan Utuk, Mark Essien of Hotel.ng, Usoro Usoro of MTN Financial and Yellow Financial Services at MTN, Ime Achibong, Head of New Product Experimentation at Facebook, Uwana Efyong-Isang, Managing Director and CEO at Primera Microfinance Bank, Otto Wasi Williams, Senior Vice President, Head of Partnerships, Innovation and Digital Solutions, Central and Eastern Europe, Middle East and Africa at Visa, Anyedi Udogong, Program Manager, Developer Ecosystems for Sub-Saharan Africa at Google. So Mr. Udom, you have redefined support, and the impact will be transgenerational as we have been hungry for such in our quest for success in a digital economy. As a community, we say, Sosoma 8080. Thank you very much.
We do not intend to make this event drag, and we do not intend to keep you longer than necessary. And so we'll just go straight to the keynote speech. The keynote address is going to be delivered by someone who, as Anthony has described, is a friend to the tech ecosystem. The keynote address is going to be delivered by someone who is not just interested in the growth of tech in Akwa Ibom State, but is also interested in the growth of young persons in Akwa Ibom State. Ladies and gentlemen, immediate past executive is also the advisor at Inoyo Toro Foundation. Udom Inoyo.
Let me begin by acknowledging the successful outings you have recorded in the various senatorial district hubs since the beginning of this Tech Week. This is a further confirmation of the hunger of our young ones to compete nationally and globally. And all we need to do is to provide the necessary support for you all to excel. I'm happy to have been a part of this success story. This morning, in addition to what you will learn from the expert speakers, I want to give you two important messages. The first, which should already be obvious to you by now, is that you are different. And you are likely to be misunderstood by people. And this may sometimes frustrate you. Truth be told, some people do not understand or have a good appreciation of your brain power and your offerings. And therefore, you must find a way to sympathize with them and also accommodate them. For those of us who know what stuff you are made of, you have our respect. Not just on account of your determination to swim in what may be considered uncharted waters, but because you seated here hold the key to unlocking the economy of our state, and indeed the nation. And why do I say so? Maybe my second point will better explain this. And I strongly recommend that anyone who is in government, in business, and indeed all of you should read the book titled Prosperity Paradox: How Innovation Can Lift Nations Out of Poverty, written by Clayton Christensen, Efosa Ojomo, and Karen Dinion. This book offers a counterintuitive approach to fighting poverty, positing that instead of trying to fix the visible signs of poverty, we should focus on creating lasting prosperity. And this can be done through the force of market-creating innovations. And what does that mean? Identify what population lacks or what they are struggling with, and then you witness a real transformation. This is exactly what happened in the 1990s when Mo Ibrahim first conceived the idea of setting up a mobile phone company in Africa. Everybody laughed at him. They didn't think it was a good idea because of all the challenges in Africa. But you know what? In 6 years, Celtel had operations in 13 African countries and a revenue of $614 million by 2004. When he sold the company in 2005, he pocketed $3.4 billion. It was all about value creation. As you know, the 21st century economy will be largely anchored on technology and innovation. And if this country must make progress, we must look in your direction. Our society is bedeviled with many problems, but these struggles are also opportunities, which some of you have already identified. And I salute you for this. I salute you for being audacious. I salute you for being ready to conquer the world, notwithstanding your name, your location, the circumstances of your birth. I thank you because in stepping up to be counted, we are sure that the future of Akwa Ibom State is secured. And the industrialization efforts of Governor Emmanuel will not be a waste. I also thank you because knowingly or unknowingly, you have redefined the Akwa Ibom youth. But to ensure sustainability, you must go further to expand your base. You must take interest in governance, as well as fashion a pragmatic template for the Akwa Ibom project. And let me explain what I mean by this in the context of Akwa Ibom State, and maybe in Nigeria. If there is any subject that should engage everyone's attention today, it should be about evolving a society that creates opportunities for our youths and challenges their psyche in terms of not only how they see themselves, but also how the outside world perceives them. I have been worried that though the Nigerian society has not always been optimal in value creation, especially for the youths, things have degenerated, with today's youth significantly disadvantaged. If it was bad in my days, the situation today does not inspire hope. Nigeria's population as of August 2021 is what? 212 million. That's based on United Nations data on population worldwide. Akwa Ibom population, 7 million people. According to the African Youth Charter, people within the age bracket of 15 to 35 are considered youth. The National Bureau of Statistics estimates the population of youths 15 to 35 years in Nigeria to be 64 million. At Nigeria's 212 million citizens, that translates to what? 30.2%. In other words, a third of the nation's population is made up of youths alone. When we discount the population of children, teenagers, and the aged from the Nigerian population, the active population comprises more than 40%. What a multitude of men and women with the right intellect, real and potential, the right mind, the right energy, and intimidating vibrancy that is in hot demand. All sufficient to create limitless opportunities for themselves and to move the economy forward. But how sad that this is not the case, given the frightening unemployment statistics, layered with dwindling revenue, insecurity, inadequate social services, and sadly, the embrace of wrong values. I do not know if you see a glass as half full or half empty, but there is good news. There is good news. Despite the country's numerous challenges, there are opportunities, especially as regards the harnessing of knowledge to invent unique solutions and develop skill sets that are locally in demand, but nationally relevant and globally competitive. I am therefore certain that you, seated here, hold the ace to propel these states and indeed Nigeria's development, creating significant value and impacting humanity positively. Let me provide some examples within Akwa Ibom State. As you all know, this state depends on oil for its economic development because the bulk of the state's revenue comes from the 13% derivation fund that monthly stream in from the Federation account. But you know that increasingly, fossil fuel utilization is being challenged due to issues of environmental degradation and climate change. This is not to paint a gloomy picture of the future, but rather it is to show in strict sincerity how vulnerable our economy is and the need for us to recalibrate our mindset. Given the low internally generated revenue and the COVID-19 pandemic that has persisted to date, any surprise that His Excellency Governor Emmanuel last year set up a team to fashion an economy for the state without crude oil. I was opportune to serve on that committee, and I can assure you that when all the recommendations are fully unveiled, you seated here will be glad that you are in this ecosystem. Additionally, given that this administration is adopting technology-based processes to enhance governance and administrative procedures, I see an opportunity for young Akwa Ibom technopreneurs to come up with innovative ideas to help the government meet its objectives. Such ideas should be boldly extended to projects such as the 21st story building, which is reputed to be the tallest in this part of the country. Beyond its height, that building boasts of modern facilities like fire protection, sensors, an aviation wing, access controls with components such as card readers, biometric control keypads, central standalone server workstations, and I can go on and go on. I see opportunities awaiting you in servicing that facility. So don't just look at the building, think about the offerings. We can also talk about revenue generation, where technology is now being embraced to drive revenue. Even to capture data, do statistical analysis, and a lot more to generate data on various heads of payments, generation of portals for schools, hospitals, ministries, departments, and agencies. There is so much in that area that plays to your strength. And I'm sure that there are other opportunities embedded in some offerings, such as improved education standards, quality healthcare. Don't just look at Ibom Airlines. Think about opportunities with the expansion. Think about the airport facilities, the Ibom port development, upcoming energy-related ventures. Anytime you're listening to government talk about its projects, think about areas where you can play. Do not hold back, because I know your services will be highly required, especially as we emerge into a post-COVID new world, where technology will drive almost every part of our lives. And it's not everybody that is as smart and savvy as you are. And this is not to suggest that there won't be challenges. It's not going to be a walk in the park, because there are some inherent challenges, and I can name a few of such challenges. The first one I see is the absence of laws and regulations that are nimble to promote and protect technology startups, especially as some of their offerings cut across various sectors of the economy. This also includes the lack of government policies and or conflicting ones for the entire ecosystem. I'm not naive not to appreciate that there's low technology adoption rates within the state, both at the public and private sector level. I also know that there is a wrong perception of people like you, sometimes resulting in you being harassed, if not by your parents, even by security agencies. But most people miss it whenever you are compared to traditional workers. And we therefore have a responsibility to educate the society that it is not everyone with a laptop or wearing faded jeans and a t-shirt or having a dreadlock that is a Yahoo boy. You need to change that mindset. There is lack of sponsorship. You don't have sponsors. When decisions are being taken, you are not there. You are not sitting at the table. And this results in loss of business opportunities. There is lack of external investor collaboration and support grants from even international bodies. And that's why I'm proud of the folks who are sitting here that will be talking to you. There is scarcity of long-term funding opportunities for technology and innovation. And I know, as a Nigerian, that there is high operational cost arising from off-grid generator power and operating in silos versus in clusters. You can look at all the challenges and you may feel overwhelmed. But how do you overcome some of these challenges? I think the starting point is to acknowledge that the current employment space in Nigeria is too small and choky for your intellect, your skills, and your potential. You must also acknowledge that you are not cut out for the unfortunately evolving temptation to hang around politically inclined jobs and appointments, which we all know are not sustainable in the long run. PA to PA to PA to this. You are not inclined for that. If you take Nigeria's gross domestic product of about $500 billion relative to our population growth of 2.6%, it's not enough to support our socioeconomic needs. That therefore means that you must not only succeed here, but must be willing to explore new frontiers to test and market your capabilities. You must be smart to access multiple frontiers with promising economic opportunities. And you must be determined to break technological barriers, crippling self-doubt, and forging ahead with appealing dispositions. Never say it can not be done. Never say that. You know, in 2015, a young lady called Edwina, she's here, she doesn't know I'm going to talk about her, with a PhD in chemistry, approached me in Lagos with a proposal to support the establishment in the University of Uyo of a sustainable energy laboratory for research Technology and Innovation. That center is called the International Center for Energy and Environmental Sustainability Research. I am glad that I gave Edo my support because that center is already doing great things in this state. And just recently, we became a beneficiary. How? Given that our educational institutions need the support of all stakeholders, in 2007, we set up the Noyo Toro Foundation focused primarily on the capacity building of teachers in Akwa Ibom State secondary schools. In the last 14 years, the foundation has employed a paper-based approach to testing and selecting the best teachers for excellence awards. But with the COVID-19 pandemic, we needed to alter this approach. The research center was able to develop and deploy a bespoke ICT testing platform, the pilot of which took place on Saturday, September 4, 2021, with over 200 state secondary school teachers participating and with positive testimonies. I am sharing this example because I want you to be like Edo, who decided to be different, thinking innovatively about how to solve local problems. Looking around us are several opportunities to make life better. And you must never join the band of those who think otherwise. You are all educated, you are smart, but you must use your correct knowledge level to acquire new skills. The world out there has only one question awaiting your response. What do you have to offer? Embracing technology, particularly ICT, whether hardware or software, is today the fastest way to break out from poverty and liberate your family. I will not ask you to think of Mark Zuckerberg, your Facebook friend. I will not ask you to think about the co-founder and CEO of Twitter, another good friend of yours. Neither will I focus on the co-creation hub founded in Lagos by Bosun Tijani in 2010, or the fintech company Piggyverse by Odunayo, or the healthcare technology company Great Mate Care by Chika Madubukun, or even the hotel booking platform hotels.ng, founded by our own Mark Essien. You already know these people. You've read their stories. I want you to look inwards and appreciate what you, young, talented, savvy, Akwa Ibom youths, are already doing in the States and will continue to do. Given the theme of this program, positioning the Akwa Ibom youth for global success in the 21st century, our mission is to support innovative solutions that will stimulate capacity development and enhance economic growth in the state. We have therefore been able to attract seasoned Akwa Ibom indigenes who are experts in this field as speakers and facilitators. This morning they will share their experiences and knowledge on opportunities, emerging trends, and how you can position yourselves for success. They have already been introduced. Osoro will address how to navigate the infrastructure deficits in Nigeria to attain global relevance. Ocho Abasi Williams, who is going to be joining us from Dubai, will address how to unlock global opportunities. Our lady in Sekanutu, the technology strategy consultant, will address how to navigate the Nigerian regulatory landscape to sustain their license to operate. Our Mark Essien, founder, chief executive officer at hotels.ng, will address corporate governance as a tool for success and scale while your own Anedi Odobo, he's been with you here all week, I believe. Anedi will address how to remain visible in the technology ecosystem to attract opportunities. And of course, we have Umana, the only MD around. He is going to coordinate, facilitate this discussion. So I think it's going to be an interesting opportunity for you to ask questions. All of us are from Akwa Ibom. And we don't go to get we don't want offending to me. So, but I explain no. Let me assure you that with this area of experts, we are committed to working with you to overcome some of the challenges earlier mentioned. Before I conclude, let me mention that we are planning to host a pitch competition today. An opportunity for innovators in Akwa Ibom State to showcase their ideas and startups. And we extended invitations to 72 applicants, whom I believe should all be here. If you are one of the 72, please, can I see your hand? We want to do something different, something sustainable. So we'll have a special session on October 8, 2021, dedicated only to the pitch competition at the E-Library. And there will be interesting offerings. To start with, there will be prize money ranging from 300,000 to $1 million for the top 3 winners to immediately support the advancement of their businesses. A good friend of mine, Barrister Akwa, who is the managing partner of Odo Odoma and Bello Sage, a leading commercial law firm in Nigeria, has already donated $1 million prize money for the winner of the pitch competition. He has also decided that there will be some hours of free legal service and advice. The second one of us, Sikak John, who is the head enterprise innovation at Nigeria Exchange Group, has facilitated a partnership with Africa FinTech Academy, a strategic development partner. The Academy will deploy a build and grow boot camp for all the 72 applicants. Do you understand what that means? I hope you understand what that means. That's why we decided not to do the pitch competition today. He says we should not rush it. He wants to take all the applicants and provide capacity building. And only 72 of you applied. The full value of the Build and Grow Bootcamp and capacity building, as well as community membership, comes to 1.5 million naira per participant and over 100 million for all of you. When we started planning this, we did not anticipate that this will come up. When I shared it with Hansen, we couldn't believe an Akwa Ibom man sitting somewhere in Lagos appreciating the Akwa Ibom Tech Week and saying, no, I love this. Where are the applicants? How many are there? What ideas are they willing to pitch about? If those ideas will find solution to Akwa Ibom issues, let me do something structural, something sustainable, and is investing 100 million in that capacity building. At the end of the training, all of you who will participate will be inducted into the Africa FinTech Community Platform with access to markets, partners, and investors. The top 5 will be given access provisioning sessions at Nigerian Exchange Innovation Hub to assess their qualification for either the incubation or acceleration programs. I am begging you, this is huge. If you did not think, or you were just writing application, go and rethink again. As you can see, I did not just come here to make a speech and walk away. None of these people are interested in just making a speech and walking away. We are genuinely interested in offering help. And our prayer is that you will grab this opportunity with open hands and make the best of it. I'm saying so because about 20 years ago, I was one of those who facilitated a significant capacity building program for youths in some communities of Akwa Ibom State. That project had the support of International Finance Corporation, the private sector investment arm of the World Bank Group, and was stewarded by a not-for-profit organization called Support and Training Entrepreneurship Program, STEP. We also attracted Growing Businesses Foundation, a microcredit administering entity, to provide much-needed access to finance. It is a matter of regret and sadness that despite the best efforts of all the promoters, including one of us, Mr. Harry Udo, is a development expert in Uyo here, the beneficiaries did not fully appreciate what they were offered, and most of them wasted the opportunity. Please, that should not be the case with this one. Overall, I'm delighted that many Akwa Ibom indigents share the same values and are anxious to support our youth, as evidenced in the activities of the last few days. Please permit me to recognize especially Hanson Johnson, CEO of Start Innovation Hub, who led the organizing team, as well as Eric Ekweren, Eric should be somewhere, Ubong Ikefre, for their tremendous input towards the success of this event. I must also acknowledge the role of Idoteyen Isaac. He should be sleeping now, he's somewhere in Virginia, managing partner at Georgette Consulting, who coordinated the concept, development planning, and execution of this event. Isaac also stayed connected with the speakers and individual sponsors, such as Charles Del Andrew Kone, Simo Ifyong, and Sikan Usoro. To our distinguished speakers and the facilitator, Nitoe Kanyen, I thank you for participating at no cost to the organizers. The moment we mention it, we say we do it. My young friends, this is a journey into the future. You hold the key to unlocking the economic opportunities in Akwa Ibom State and in solving our local problems, thereby creating a more comfortable life for our people. In the process, this is the good news, you will make money, good money, and legitimately too. I want to assure you that on this voyage, as you walk with integrity, hard work, and diligence, you will never walk alone. Thank you, and God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and make you very welcome, Mr. Uwana Effiong Esang.
It's exactly 20 years since I left Uyo to begin my adult life. 20 years. In those 20 years, I have never been as excited as I am today with what has brought me back home on a platform that will redefine the future of Akwa Ibom State. I've never been this excited. Why is that so? The world over, it has become clear that wealth extracted from natural resources, from the ground, from wasting resources as they call it, that era is past. It's gone. It's over. Whatever we are enjoying today, we are simply at the tail end of what has been almost a century of deriving wealth from natural resources. So where is the new wealth coming from? Knowledge. The knowledge economy. The digital economy. Somebody told me something about a week ago, and I'm happy for everyone to check. Who plays video games here? PlayStation. Who plays video games? How much is the latest, the newest PlayStation that just came out? How much is it? Sorry? About $800. About $800, right? How many do you think that Sony is going to sell in PlayStations next year, between this year and next year? Just take a guess. If you bring out your calculator, he did the math. It's very likely that Sony is going to make as much in PlayStation sales as the budget of Nigeria. One product. One product. I had a few slides, and I'm just giving this to set the tone for the discussion and to remind us about why we are about to have this conversation. This conversation is not about me. It's not about any of the speakers. It's not about the Noyo Toro Foundation. This conversation is about you as an individual and as somebody who holds the promise of tomorrow for Akwa Ibom. That's what this conversation is about. And we are simply here to assist, to illuminate our understanding, and to energize us to show that it's possible. The second thing before I invite my fellow speakers up. Last year, venture capital investors from outside Africa invested over $2 billion in Africa, in startups, technology hubs specifically. The same firms and the same endeavors as you are promoting today attracted $2 billion into Africa, about $2.3 billion. What came to Nigeria was $307 million. In today's Naira, not Monday's Naira, you know Naira changes every day. In today's Naira, that's about 170 billion Naira. Now, ladies and gentlemen, imagine if Akwa Ibom attracted just 10% of that investment. 17 billion Naira. Now, let me bring it home. What if I tell you, and I stand on this stage, and I say that it is possible that there will be 17 billion Naira to share as investment in your businesses? 17 billion Naira. Think about it. That's just 10% of what came to Nigeria. So the burning question, how do we position ourselves to attract that investment to Akwa Ibom, to your businesses? How? That's the question myself, my fellow speakers, And everyone here is going to attempt to answer today. It's an open conversation. Ms. Inoyo said it. This is our conversation. And we are going to do justice to the conversation. So first of all, I'd like to invite on stage my colleague, Mr. Soro. Please join me. I'd also like to invite on stage Mrs. Sika Utuk. Please make her feel welcome. And I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Anyedi Udobo. So I'll invite Anyedi to just take us through a really small exercise before we kick off.
Good morning, everyone. Please, we just heard about some figures that are flying in and out of the country. Last night, I stumbled on a piece of news. I'm part of the ecosystem. If you have your phone with you right now, open your favorite search engine. I'm not here to market. I know I work for Google, but I'm here in a personal capacity. Just open your phone right now and type 54 gene, 54 Gene. If you get some results, just flip over to the news section. It says 54 gene news. I would like anybody from the audience to tell me or read the headline under 54 gene news that was released 17 hours ago. The news is not up to 24 hours. The most credible source for technology information in the world is called TechCrunch. I hope. Do we have an answer somewhere there?
Okay. 54 Gene obtains $25 million for precise medicine clinical trials. This is from Business Post Nigeria.
Who is the MD of 54 Gene?
I don't know.
Who else can help you? Search for it or read the news story. Open the link.
Dr. Abasi and Obong.
Thank you.
$20 million, $25 million. I think I'm in the wrong business. I started too early. And this is real money. This is real money. This is not audio money, guys. This is real money. Anyway. So, how do we get this done? And I'll just start with, let me start from you, Soro. You're with MTN Financial Services. You're the quintessential fintech, right? And fintechs will need to deal with lots of infrastructural challenges and so on and so forth. And this is a challenge that I'm very sure that most of us here, we can agree with. Infrastructure, right? Infrastructure, light, that's power, telecoms links, and so on. Those are issues and challenges you face, right? No, speak up. This is us. Is that a challenge? That's a key challenge. Do you have another one? Okay. So, Usoro, in your experience, what are those key challenges and what are the strategies you would put on the table or suggestions you would give as to how we, and I'm including myself because quite frankly, if 16 billion naira is coming here, I'm rushing to set up a tech hub in you ASAP. How do we overcome that challenge and what are the ideas you can help us with regarding that. Thank you.
How much time do I have?
I think we have about 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
If you don't mind, I put together a presentation. Because we're not projecting, we will first overcome the first infrastructural hurdle with a mobile first approach. So I'm going to just be talking through with my phone, and then we'll go through. Now that's much better. Okay, so I said I put together a couple of slides. So we'll try and overcome the first infrastructural hurdle, and we'll do a mobile first approach. So I'll just talk through my slide. So firstly, I really do not see infrastructure as the major challenge when it comes to technology innovation. So if you allow me, I'm going to pivot, as you guys in techie always say. We will first pivot the operating model, and we will talk about how infrastructure deficit can actually be an accelerator for driving innovation. And so to do that, let's first look at the space we call Nigeria. Mr. Inoyo actually talked about the stats. In excess of 200 million people. GDP in excess of 500. Yes, it can be argued. How many of these people are economically empowered? We say we're the capital poverty of the world. But then there's still a lot of wealth in this country. And there's also wealth at the bottom of the pyramid. I've always said, and everybody now recognizes, that it is not really how you package and sell your product just for the uber wealthy, but also how you can innovate at the bottom of the pyramid, because there's a lot of wealth to be unlocked there. The telco product that we offer is a classic. Nigeria and maybe Africa is perhaps one of the biggest markets for prepaid. It was still the same phone. How did the telcos unlock a huge market in Nigeria and in Africa? It was to look at the model and offer it differently. Rather than go through a postpaid model that requires you to check people for credit, requires people to have maybe a credit or a debit card to facilitate payment. The telcos innovated and had a prepaid model where you need to load your recharge card. And by solving that problem, they opened up a huge market. MTN in Nigeria initially assumed there would not be more than 200, 300,000 phone users in the country. Today, we're in excess of 70 million people. From the business plan that assumed 300. And it was really relooking at that business model. FMCGs. Your FMCGs, everyone consumes, whether it's the uber wealthy or it's the people at the bottom of the pyramid. The question is, how do they consume? The famous word today is sachet economy. Everyone drinks milk. But not everybody will buy a huge tin of milk. So you need to repackage it and sell it for the bottom of the pyramid, and that's the same thing with technology products. The same pig milk you can package as a sachet. The guy who at the bottom of the pyramid does not buy and store. He buys and consumes same day. It's the same thing with your pure water. You won't do a big bottle of water, you do it in a sachet. So it's a sachet economy. So regardless of the distribution of wealth in the country, whether there's lots of wealthy people or lots of people who are at the bottom of the pyramid, how you package and sell your product is very important. Now, but let's go beyond that. Beyond the 200 million people, we're talking of a population that has almost 180 million cell phones that are connected today. If you look at that, that is almost in population terms. Germany is about 100 million people. Now, even if you adjust that number, 180 million for multi-SIM people who carry more than one SIM, you may still have about 100 million. At 100 million, you're talking of a market size that is bigger than Germany. Of that 100 million, about 50 million of them are connected to the internet. Now, let's even adjust for people we call accidental users. Accidental users are people that carry the latest smartphones around, but are not intentionally consuming data. And so when you look at the stats, it may come true. But even if you apply a haircut to that, that is still a huge number. But let's go beyond even the people that are connected. Social media users. The people on social media, and I believe almost everybody here, there are about 33 million people. How much is 33 million? Put that in context. Canada is about 38 million. So even while we're all queuing up and trying to jet out and escape to Canada, you have a market size of 33 million people that are not only connected to the internet, but are savvy enough to be on social media.
You have a population that is almost bigger than Ghana. You have a population, the other day we saw almost all our doctors trying to get out to Saudi Arabia. 33 million people on social media is in excess of the entire population of Saudi Arabia. So you already have a ready market of people, regardless of how you dice it, whether they're wealthy, whether they are at the BOP, or whether they are literate enough. But you already have a huge market that you can or potentially offer your products to. So, but let's go beyond that. So why, again, do I argue that infrastructure would not be your biggest problem? Today, and which is obviously what we're doing here, is a mobile first economy. Everyone is thinking mobile first. Most of the problems that we have today can be innovated, and almost all the services that we have is converging around the mobile. Almost every service, almost every sector today converges around the mobile phone. Whether it's your transportation sector, whether it's your retail as a sector, and all of them, because there's a major problem in terms of lack of infrastructure. The fact that there's infrastructural deficit, it lends itself to disruption. Africa does not have a formal retail. Almost everybody, there's a mom and pop that deals with retailing. But that in itself is an opportunity. Because to create a formal retail, maybe that's why we have a Konga Jumia that has innovated that same retail outfit and has taken it online. The same thing with transportation. And you don't only have to look national. Even within Akwa Ibom and within Uyo itself, there's a lot of transportation verticals that are still lending themselves for disruption. How many people have decided, okay, how do we formalize the keke marwa, the tricycles around, or even the bikes? In places like Indonesia, you already have ride hailing for even the basic Okada, right? Even your logistics also lends itself. So if you look at almost every vertical and the fact that because of the problem that we are hyping today, the lack of infrastructure, that it lends itself to innovation. Even within government services, even within public services. I met someone the other day who ordinarily on a good day would be very modest with his achievements, but he was very excited. He offered payroll services back in the days, and then he used to sell payroll services from government office to government office, and nobody would buy. But he decided he was going to look at the model and offer it differently, and what did he do? The same payroll solution he was begging government to buy, he offered to give it to the government for free. And he says, I will automate your payroll. I will help you fish out your ghost workers. And whatever I save for you, I'm going to take a certain percentage. And that was what he did. And unlocked his business. The last time I saw him, gentleman, like I said, on a good day would be very modest. And I'm like, how are you doing? He said, oh boy, Pepe, don't rest.
Okay, so, I mean, that's quite enlightening. And two key things jump out. So basically, first of all, the frame of thought we should apply to our challenges is really not to see those challenges as obstacles, but as opportunities for innovation. Because from the examples you've given and from a lot of the disruptive technologies we've seen that are making money today, those products and services really arose from as an answer to a problem. So essentially, the way to look at innovation and how we should approach the infrastructural challenge is how do we short-circuit those challenges and create products and services that give answers to those problems and monetize those products and services. By monetization, basically, making those products and services sellable in a manner of speaking, ability to sell it and creating a market for it. So, I mean, that's really what I hear, and I'm sure that's what everyone in the audience understands. And that makes a lot of sense. So, to pivot to you, Isikan, and by the way, I've gotten confirmation from the tech team that we have Mark Essien and Otto Bassi from Germany and Dubai on the panel virtually. Tech team, correct? Do we have a thumbs up? Yes, fantastic. Otto, so Otto, can you confirm that you can hear us? Otto Bassi. So while we get him on the line, or to get him speaking virtually.
Confirm you have audio, I think it's
Okay.
Otto, can you hear us?
Otto, can you hear us? Okay, he'll join us shortly. So, when one thinks of the infrastructural challenges and the innovation around it, what normally happens is that those innovative products and solutions are so new that from a legal and regulatory perspective, they have not been thought about by the regulators because it's new, it's disruptive. So if I'm setting up a policy today, I'm thinking of addressing the issues that exist right now, isn't it? And then all of a sudden, one of us here comes up with a bright idea to solve a problem and bring a solution that did not exist. And therefore, there was no regulation for. You see, and I'm not setting you up, trust me. So, I'll hand you my mic. So the question is, how do we deal with the question of adjusting ourselves to be within the laws and regulations of the land so that we are able to operate at peace, if you will, with society?
That's actually an interesting one, because usually when tech companies, when you hear of regulations, and everyone just starts rolling their eyes. And in the news now, people, is it okay? Can you hear me? Okay. And on the news now, it just looks like regulators are coming after startups. So the question most startups ask is, why don't they just leave us alone? Why can't we just, do our own thing? After all, we're providing solutions. But at the end of the day, we also need to realize that these regulations are here for a reason, and also to actually help protect us and even protect the people that you're targeting and rebuild trust. Right now, there's a trust deficit, believe it or not, with tech. Even though we're promoting tech, we're saying tech is the next oil, everything. There are some people that are like, God forbid, I will not put my account details online. God forbid, I will not put my address so that you can come and find me. But what the regulators do is actually to just kind of put policies in place to make sure everyone is accountable. So you as the techpreneurs, your solution, just ensuring that you're not compromising on certain policies that will protect you, not just yourselves, but even the people that you're targeting. So now the question is, well, it sounds like there are 1,000,001 agencies and regulators. How do I know which ones to go for? Granted, actually, but you don't have to focus on everything, especially being in the tech space. There are just a few that you have to focus on. So the first one I'll touch on is CAC, which is Corporate Affairs Commission. Now, this is every business person's business. Whether you are a tech person or you're just trying to start up a small shop, CAC is your go-to, because that's where you're going to register your company. That's where you're going to get your different things that you need, like your tax identification number, your TIN, and just some basic documentations that you need to even open accounts for your business as well. So this is the first one you want to look into. Without your CAC documentation, you're literally just going to be hitting a wall, because everything you need, even down to when you want to register with FIRS for your tax, they're going to ask you for something that you would have gotten from CAC. Now, I've already touched on FIRS as well. There's also the SEC, which is the Security Action Commission. So being in the tech space, of course, you're going to probably want to look out for capital and get investors. So the SEC comes in as a regulator to protect your interest and the investors' interest as well. I'll talk on NIDA too, which is the National Information Technology Development Agency. Now, if you're going to the tech space, NIDA is your best friend. You have to make them your best friend. You don't have a choice. So NIDA is actually the regulators that focus on everything technology related. So they are going to look into your business and just give you guidelines to ensure that you're staying on the straight and narrow path, I think that's what we call it, and just ensuring that you're doing everything that you're meant to be doing right, you're not bridging any gaps, not bridging any protocol rather, and that, so for example, even with data protection, like I mentioned, there are some people that say, I'm not putting my account details online, I'm not putting my security code online. But what NIDA does is to kind of put policies in place that would kind of protect your interest and even your customers' interest as well. So just hold on, like Mr. said, we actually had sites, but due to technology, so we had to go through our phones. So one second, sorry. So, okay, I have mentioned NIDA being your best friend. You also need to stay on top of what they are doing. They usually bring up policies and they kind of modify it as well. So when you're starting your business, you don't want to just go read up on everything, do your registration and say, thank God I'm done. No, you have to actually keep yourself aware of what's going on and constantly read up on it as well. These policies change, and that's where some techpreneurs get it wrong as well. Because once you feel like, oh, you're registered and you're done, and you move forward, something might change and it might affect your business, and they're going to come for you. They will come for you. I'm just saying it out there. And so you want to make sure that you're on top of everything, the policies and all that. And then you have NOTAP as well. So NOTAP is N-O-T-A-P, so I don't, just for anyone taking notes. So NOTAP is agency that regulates foreign, how do I put this? So for example, you're working on some of your technology solutions locally. There are some things that you may not find locally to actually build your solutions, and you may want to look outside the country for some of the solutions and bring them in to help build your product. So NOTAP is that regulatory body that ensures that there are policies in place protecting your interests, and even for those for the foreign companies as well that you're using their solutions. So if you're one of the techpreneurs where some of your solutions are not local, NOTAP is one that you want to look out for as well. So literally there are a bunch of other agencies, but the ones I touched on are the ones that, regardless of whatever sector, because technology, even though we say, oh, technology is a sector, technology in itself cuts across different sectors. It's health, it's telco, education, and everything. So you actually also have some agencies, that focus on a particular sector. So if your solution is going to go into telecommunications, telco, you want to look into NCC's regulations, you want to look into NCC's policy. If your solution is going to have to do with broadcasting, for example, you want to look into you want to look into MDC. So don't just say, okay, I have CAC, take SEC, take FIRS, take NOTAP, NIDA, and you go to bed. No, you have to also do your research. By the time you figure out what solution or what sector your solution is going to target, you want to look into policies and regulations for all that, because even though you go and meet them and say, well, I'm registered with NIDA, I thought I was good, like I said, they will come for you. So you want to make sure you're on top of that. So finally, like I said, stay up to date on the agency's regulations. They keep changing. And now the question may be, okay, how do I know when they change? Some of their websites actually have pretty much all the information that you need actually. But again, you can say, I'm not going to go on the website every day. But then I'm sure every techpreneur in this room is on social media, even if it's Instagram, Twitter, everything. And these agencies are actually very active on their social media as well. So most of the updates and the changes that they will make would actually be on their social media. So you can follow all their handles, probably set the notification for when they post, just so that you can see it as well. That helps. And they're very active on Instagram. So just final nuggets, I just want to dive a bit. It's not regulatory related, but I just sort of advice to techpreneurs. I'll say just start. Don't overthink it. A lot of people just say, okay, I have this solution. I need to make sure it's perfect before I start. No, most technology companies started off when they would just Some of them started off in the garage. Oracle started off in the garage. So just start as you go. You're going to start modifying your solutions to the needs and some of the challenges that you meet across the way. Because at the end of the year as well, right, you're not going to sit down and say, oh, I want to make it perfect before I start. Even if you do that, there are some things that will come up that you did not anticipate at the beginning. So why waste time? Just start. Another thing is focus on a particular product. I know we've said a lot today about how there's so much money out there, and even me, I'm thinking, hey God, I must tap into this as well. But I'll say focus on a particular solution, not because there's so much money out there, like, hey, I must do something for transport, I must do something for health, I must do something for education. Focus on one thing. It's called the beachhead strategy in business. The moment you focus on one product, you create a niche for yourself. Everyone knows you to be, oh, you're this person that does this, or you're this person that does that. And the moment you do that and you build on it, you can start creating other verticals in your business. You can say, okay, I've actually created the solution to a point where I can begin to expand. I've created a solution to a point where I can begin to look at other things, because I also have a structure in place for that to run on its own. So you want to focus on a particular solution. And in focusing on a particular solution, again, like I said, not because there's just so much money to be thrown out there, you just want to think of one mega idea that's going to bring you billions. The first thing you want to think of is, this thing I'm even to bring, this solution or this product, what need is it actually addressing? What need is it addressing? Because that's an easy sell in tech. When you bring a solution, most people will ask you, okay, what are you actually addressing? What is the problem? And then the moment you actually start saying, okay, this solution is actually to address this, and you're just very head on, you've gotten the attention of people, you've gotten the attention of your investors as well. And sometimes some needs are not very clear and apparent to everyone. So I'll use Uber for an example. Uber, the bulls and lights, cab, taxi hailing services. So for Uber, right? Uber, I don't know if anyone knows the story of how Uber started. It was actually two men that were on the streets in Paris, waiting for a taxi for minutes, if not, I don't know if it was up to hours, let me not exaggerate. But they were waiting for a taxi for so long, and they couldn't find a taxi. They just kept standing there, and they were trying to hail down taxis, everything was full. And it got to a point where one of them, they just said to each other, how cool would it be if there was actually a solution where you could actually just order the taxi on your phone before you even step outside. So by the time you step outside, your taxi is right there. They're like, oh yeah, that's true, that would be nice. And they went back to their different countries because they were on a business trip. They went back to their different countries and they sat down and they actually developed it. Now, we all were comfortable with, oh, let me go outside and stand and wait for my taxi, which still happens today, no doubt. But what they did was they now made us think, oh wait, this was a problem, or we didn't even realize it. So sometimes the problems are not apparent, or what the human mind does as well is when a solution is brought forward, human mind starts processing and even goes backwards and starts thinking, oh right, this was actually very uncomfortable, why didn't I think of this before? So so that's basically it. I don't want to take up all the time, and just two more things actually, sorry. Set your goals. When you want to start, what are you actually targeting? Where do you want your business to go? Where do you see your business 3 to 5 years down the line? Sit down with yourself or a team, or not just even yourself. Actually, I always advise a team, because no man is an island, like they say. Sit down with a team and actually build and actually come together and say, okay, this is the solution I have, this is the objective, this is what I'm trying to target, this is what I'm trying to solve, and begin to set goals in achieving that. Now, will they change along the way? They probably will, but you don't want to go in without a vision. So I know I said, oh, don't overthink it at the beginning, but not overthinking doesn't mean don't plan, doesn't mean don't set the goals. And finally, utilize partners. Please don't walk in toes. Make use of the resources that you have around you. Make use of the people. There are people that, even with the particular solution that you're trying to, or product you're trying to come up with, there's some people that have done something similar. You might not be the first person. Look into it. Reach out to them. It's okay to get ideas from people. And also probably look at what they didn't do well and leverage on that and strengthen your own product. Or see what they went well that worked for them. Collaborate, and and that's it. So like I said, when starting, you want to ask yourself, what needs or problems am I solving? And the money will come, because at the end of the day, let's be real, let's be very honest. You want the money. So the money will come. The moment you're providing something that people need, it's a no-brainer, the money will come. So that's it from me.
Msika, thank you. So you actually just took me back to school, right? And so, if I may just summarize, there are two big, broad type of regulators to look out for. There are certain regulators that cut across all industries. So like the CAC, for example, for you to even be able to do business, you must deal with the CAC. The FIRS, tax, across all. And then depending on the industry that you want to play in and disrupt, you then target certain niche regulators within those spaces. And then looking specifically at ourselves. Whatever it is that is our idea, we should just start, just to begin. But in doing so, do that with a plan, do that collaboratively, look to solve problems. And when you really think about it, I guess there's a reason why it's called solutions, because it actually solves a problem. And with that in mind, I'm ready to set up my tech hub. Thank you very much. Okay, so Anyedi, I've dealt with the regulators, I have set up my team, I'm being collaborative, I have my idea, I am applying innovative ways of getting around the infrastructural challenges that Usoro spoke about. How do I position myself as an individual, as a business person, to be relevant, to be seen? Because if you're not seen, and you're not heard, you will not sell. Guys, is that correct? If you're not seen, if you're not heard, you can't blow. Simple. Can I get an amen? If you're not seen, if you're not heard, nobody hears about you. You have the most wonderful idea in the world. You have set up with the CAC. You pay your taxes. You have a team. But nobody knows you. That's a problem, right? That's a big problem. So how many people here want to understand how we can make ourselves seen, known, heard, and blow? How many? I'm raising my hand because, man, I'm in for this 16 billion. I don't know about you guys. So Anyedi, not about them. Talk to me, Mwana. I want this knowledge for myself. Not about them. No. Just, you're talking to me now. If they want to listen in, that's fine. But this is for me. How do I make myself prominent and seen? How do I position myself? What are the strategies? What are the ideas? What do I do? Talk to me.
I don't know whether the tech team wants another shot at bringing Otto Basi on, or should I go on? Otto, yes, I'll lend my privilege.
Okay, so you yield the floor for now. Yes. Otto, hi. Hi. Thank you for that.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me? Yes.
Loud and clear, bro. Absolutely. You're welcome to the stage. It's really good to have you.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be part of this very exciting Akwa Ibom Tech Week event, and these topics could not be more relevant. My name is Otto Abasi Williams, and I lead partnerships and digital solutions for Visa in our Central and Eastern Europe, Middle East, and Africa region. Since this is a technology-focused event, I'd like to use this opportunity to cover 3 broad topic areas. First, what are the technology trends that we are seeing? what are some tangible opportunities that are gaining traction today? And how should you position yourself for these technology opportunities? Now, what are the technology trends that we're seeing today? Digital currencies. Digital currencies come in various forms. We have non-sovereign digital currencies operating on a distributed ledger technology called blockchain. And these currencies are known as cryptocurrencies. And you may know them. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. I'm sure many of you are familiar. But you also have non-sovereign private sector digital currencies backed by fiat and held at commercial banks. Now, these are called stable coins, and stable coins include USDC, where it's pegged to the US dollars, and as the US dollar fluctuates in price, so does the value of the coin. And then you do have fiat currency that is tokenized and backed by the central bank, and these are called central bank digital currencies. And we've seen various countries begin to roll out these currencies, an example being one that we're seeing in Nigeria called the e-Naira. The second trend that we're seeing is buy now, pay later. These are alternative credit models that are proliferating across the globe. And they're primarily driven by consumers who are underbanked or maybe unbanked or may not want to take out traditional credit, and they will pursue these forms of alternative financing where they make purchases and pay over installments. You've got players like Affirm, Zip, and many others out there that are enabling these solutions. Blockchain is another technology that we're seeing its trend continue to be strong. And many of you probably know the blockchain technology. It's a database that stores encrypted blocks of data and then chains them together to form a chronological single source of truth for that data, and it cannot be modified. Very important. And we mentioned cryptocurrencies earlier. That is one very popular application of blockchain. One other application of blockchain that is also starting to gain traction now are called non-fungible tokens. And this is a unit of data that's stored on a blockchain that certifies that a digital asset is unique. And so if you're an artist who has rendered a digital painting, you can actually create a non-fungible token version of that so that you can preserve an original and unique copy, and whoever wants to buy it can know that they are the only ones who have that copy. Very important, and I think this is going to drive so many use cases and lots of innovation as we go forward. Now, what are some tangible opportunities that are gaining traction today? The one area that I'm going to speak to is an area that I know quite well, and that is the fintech area, financial technology, where technology meets finance to drive outcomes for consumers and sellers. And some of you may ask, what is fueling the fintech trend? You've all heard of fintechs. What's fueling this trend? One key element that's fueling this trend is mobile connectivity. Consumers are ever more connected, and they can do so much more using their mobile devices. And connectivity is also important. Data, internet services, and broadband access has become a lot more ubiquitous, and so consumers can actually access these services online as well. Now, one other element that's really fueling fintechs is venture investments, and we're seeing venture investors starting to flood into these types of consumer technologies to fund them. And we have numerous examples that have taken place in recent times. Flutterwave here in Nigeria being an example of a fintech that has raised $170 million recently. Wave in Senegal has also recently raised $200 million. And Wave is a wallet that allows you to be able to make payments, and it's very well known and very popular in Senegal. Cheaper Cash raised $100 million from a venture fund that Jeff Bezos backs. And OPay here in Nigeria recently raised $400 million. we're seeing fintechs across the board continue to be fueled by venture investments. Paystack recently got bought out by Stripe. And I would be remiss not to mention our very own MTN here that has recently announced that they're going to be spinning out its mobile money business into a fintech. This trend is strong and it will continue, and this is one that you should pay very close attention to. And so the question is, how should you position yourself for these opportunities in technology? And the way to address that is to ask, what is the profile of a successful fintech leader? You have to love technology. You've got to love technology, and you'll have to love using technology to impact lives. I think this is the number one criteria. It's passion for tech. You enjoy it, you love being around it, and you want to use it to impact lives. And I think that is one common element that we see across a lot of these fintech leaders. The other element is showing empathy, really wanting to understand the consumer's needs. What does the consumer need, and how can you fill that need? A lot of the fintech solutions that have been launched today have really been born out of the needs of, founders recognizing that, they want to be able to achieve certain things. They want to be able to perform certain tasks, but they're not able to. And so they've asked themselves, if I solve this for myself, it will work for others too. And that's how they've pursued these solutions. And so you've really got to have that empathy about, bringing solutions that impact others. And lastly, you have to be curious and you have to be involved. And that's why forums like this, Akwa Ibom Tech Week, bringing like-minded people together to talk about technology, to network, and to be involved. You have to be. You've got to be in the meetups, you've got to be in the forums, and you've got to be constantly expanding, your understanding, your knowledge, your network, and your connection in the technology space. And so with that, I will wrap up by saying that technology is a force for good. It is impacting lives, and you should all be actively involved in these trends that are emerging and are continuing to move strong. Thank you all for this opportunity. I look forward to the Q&A session and to answering more questions that you may have. Thank you.
That was a teaching moment for me, very illuminating. Towards the tail end of his delivery, he spoke about positioning ourselves personally, not just as a business, but as individuals to take advantage of this. So, in your experience, and I mean, to be honest, you've gained tech visibility relatively early on in your career. You still have many years ahead of you, but you've reached a place of visibility quite early, and I would like that for myself as well as for everyone else here. How do we do that?
I wish I reached this place of visibility much earlier. I know I don't look my age, so I'll keep it that way. I would only discuss my age in private, taking a cue from you. But as I go through some of the experiences I have and share, I think you would be able to figure out the dates and do some math. The first thing I would want to draw on, everything has been said, it's absolutely very difficult to speak after Usoro, Uduak, Otto. Thank God Mark didn't come on, so I can steal some of his thunder. So I don't want to waste time repeating what has been done, right? I do this as part of my job, and that's why I've been in the community, and I work with Hansen and another 300 or 400 Hansens across sub-Saharan Africa, Africa without North Africa. So I'll give a few practical examples. Like I said, bring out your phone, favorite search engine, doesn't have to be the company I work for, and search for Akpan. I'm sure that's a very popular name, or maybe it's a unique name. There are only one or two Akpans in the whole world, am I right? Or there's maybe Blessing. There's somebody called Blessing, Akpan. Only one Blessing Akpan in the world, true or false? True or false? There's only one Blessing Akpan in the world. Are you sure? Okay, type inside your search engine for Blessing Akpan and tell me what you get. We are short on time, so I will tell you what you will get. You'll get a young lady who is a student, who is in Uyo, who is an innovator, a child trainer, a coder, somebody who grew through our communities at the GDG Uyo, the Google developer groups, and somebody who just yesterday, I contracted her to be my son's lesson teacher. They will start classes tomorrow. I have followed Blessing's career over the last 2 or 3 years. She doesn't know I'm putting her on the spot. I'm sure she's in this audience. So they don't allow Okada enter. So the lesson teacher that could come to coach my son would need to stop at the gate. I would actually have to go and pick him, or he would have to walk down to my house because he doesn't currently have a car. And for this and maybe other reasons, he has declined to teach my son. So for the last 6 or 7 months, and to the happiness of my son, he has not had a lesson teacher. To the sadness of his father and his mother, because now I have to be the lesson teacher, or I have to just allow him to play with his toys. So when COVID forced everyone to accelerate growth in adoption of digital technology, we started taking classes online. And when my wife and I discussed the issue we have with Akwa Ibom Gerald not having a lesson teacher, I said, okay, we'll go online. So there are companies in Lagos, Greatly, Tuteria, so many of them. We could even go online and get a lesson teacher in the US or wherever. And when they sent the bill, I paused. And I said, if I dedicate 2 hours a day to this boy and pay myself, it might be worth it. And then I remembered Blessing. Visibility. She just pops up on my Instagram feed, my Twitter feed, my Facebook feed, because she's doing things. If you follow her Instagram or I am B Akpan, that's how she has branded herself. IAM BEEAKPAN. If you follow her feed, you find out that she has just been awarded some innovator thing, 100 most, those 30 under 30. I didn't make that. I can't make that. I also can't make 40 under 40. So anyway, I approached her yesterday at the boardroom of e-library, and I said, Blessing, I have something for you. And she laughed, guy, I said, no, I'm serious. It is not a promise or an empty promise. I have actually decided that I would like you to be my son's lesson teacher. And we talked through. She told me about her timetable, agreed 2 hours a day on Saturday and Sunday, another 2 hours during the week. And I sincerely hope that she will be cheaper than Brilliant Tutorial. Not because the price is important, but the value. The second aspect of why I really would love Blessing to be my son's coach or lesson teacher is I grew up in the University of Ibadan, and I didn't have the pleasure or the opportunity to adopt our culture, the language as much as I would have loved to. Luckily for me, we have 4 brothers in my house, I'm the last. I had the fortune of schooling in the University of Uyo, and at the time we left Uyo, that was 2002, I had to spend 4 extra years in school trying to clean up my degrees. There's many reasons for that, but it should also inspire you. So I spent 9 years to get my first degree. The company I work for now, Google, was not in existence when I entered University of Uyo in 1996. And yes, me and many people in this audience went to school without Google and Wikipedia. Please give us a round of applause. So, how do you brand yourself to the point where when someone searches for Blessing Akpan, you come up? It is not a new thing. If you go to Mechanic Village, there's probably Toyota. Anyedi brake pad. Well, not brake, Anyedi Google. There is Taiwo generator on my phone. I don't know. a Kaitea fan. If you're in Lagos, you have one woman that once in a while, you know. So that branding, where you are known for something, exactly what Odwa said. This is the digital world. If you say you're a graphic designer, you're a website developer. If I go to my favorite search engine now and say, website developer in New York, do you come up? Are you the first on the search results? Are you on the first page? There's a quote, and I'm not just saying this. They say the easiest place to hide something, let me not say what was said, is on the second page of Google search results. Nobody goes there. 95% stop on the first page. So how do you brand yourself such that you come up? A few solutions. What you're seeing today is because a community was built using the resources of many people. Those who sacrificed their time and some of the companies that invested, including ours. So there's a Google developer in Eket, there's in New York, one is about to come up in Ikodekpene, and there are also student clubs in these various places. Immediately the opportunity came for Architect Week to be sponsored. Hanson had no difficulty. In fact, I think there will be communities and hubs in Akwa Ibom that are going to be on his neck and say, how come the tour did not come to our place? Oh, fan, you're not my friend. This big opportunity came and you did not key me in. But those who have shown some sign of branding, of success, of just getting things started, that is on whom the foundation we're building. And as Wana said, that is the launch pad that we're taking this to the next level. In my day job at Google, I speak to about 360 Hansons across 48 countries in Africa. 360. 200 of them are students, current students in various campuses across Africa minus North Africa. And those 200, it's a one-year tenure. For people like Hanson, they've been on the program for much longer. He's already the mentor. Hanson is the one mentoring other people leading communities across Nigeria. Right? So people put in the work. You volunteer for opportunities. You do things. It could be from your church, could be from your place of worship, could be from your community or association. You have to get noticed. That position you hold in your departmental association, in your fellowship, when you come for an interview and they ask you what are your leadership qualities, you don't need to create something extraordinary. Talk about how you resolved an election problem between two factions where both of them are your best friends in a departmental fracas. That problem-solving ability is what I would judge if I was in a position to hire. And if somebody came with a first class and no work experience, no volunteer experience, and someone came with a second class and had been involved in this kind of thing, SUG, whatever it is, and could show demonstrable skills of being able to solve problems, I want to relax and enjoy myself. So the person I want to hire to work with me, I want the person to solve the problems so that I can, So you should volunteer. Don't say there's no work. Go and work for free. Then after you've done work, not before, you can say no, or find something. You need to do something before you get something. I would give another example, and this hit me about a week ago. I was invited for a roundtable discussion with somebody who was coming into Nigeria to set up a business. And someone referred me, and I will talk about referrals at the end of this presentation. Someone referred me, and I got there, and I tried to refer somebody else. Somebody told me I should come and buy him lunch in VI. So I now called this other guy. I said, do you still have space for me to bring someone to this Thai restaurant? And he said, no, it's a closed thing. There was 12 people. I'm so sorry. I said, don't worry, I just want to shoot my shot. Just don't worry. So I told my other guy, I said, we'll see next week. I go with you. And then the night before the dinner, the person convening dinner called me and said, can you call your friend? A space has opened up. Someone had an emergency. So I reached out and I called the guy, and the guy said, no, he's in Enugu, he's not available. So at that point, this is the night before the dinner, so they now shared the list of people that were coming for the dinner. The 12 people, including the guy that had pulled out, because I had already sent out the final invitation. These are the 12 people, you sit down together and have a conversation. So I said, okay, since I don't have somebody, the guy I should have filled the 12 slot is not available, I looked at the list of 11 people. It's my community, and we know each other. And I realized there was a name that was missing. A young girl, Edith Young Asipo. And I said, why didn't you invite Didi? It was Chris, the white man who's coming to start a business, that told me that Didi has relocated to Rio. Wow. I was like, really? First thing that came to my head, we were close, we were in the same ecosystem, but I don't know the personal details. So I said, okay, maybe could the father be ill? The person not come marry and one PA or somebody. Did he just leave us for Lagos? They go, you don't tell anybody. So I quickly picked up the phone and I dialed Didi. I was like, hey, I hope all is well. It was quite late in the night. I said, hope all is well. I heard you've moved back to you. What's going on? And her response blew my mind. When Didi left GDG and Facebook dev circles in New York and came to Lagos, I think in her youth service, she worked with InterSwitch for about 2 or 3 years, and then she switched over and worked for a company called Hashnode, online remote. So you're in Lagos, earning dollars, working for a foreign company. The pandemic hit, she stayed on that job, and then she got another job with Ambassador Labs. Still remote, now she has physical experience, another remote experience, and now a remote job. And one day she asked herself, so what am I doing in Lagos? If I go to you, I enjoy my life. And all I have to do is be online. It might be more difficult to connect, these are the challenges we're having here, but I will find a way. So she took off, and the only issue I have is that she didn't tell me, because after they call me chairman or uncle, ecosystem. She didn't tell me. So ever since I got here, she's been sending lunch to my hotel for 5 days. That was the only reparation. So what am I saying? You can be here. You can choose to be here and be global. You have to hone your craft to be so good that you cannot be ignored. The advisor talked about the name. Your name is almost a bit of a disadvantage. I will blow one small grammar here called intersectionality when it comes to diversity and all that. Simple example, if you're poor, or you don't have money, you have more challenges than someone who has finance. If you are a minority, especially in Nigeria, you might find it more difficult. Not because there's nepotism, but in the room of 10 people, if 9 are from a particular area and 1 is from your area, if there's a democratic vote on who should get it, aside nepotism, just normal, there's only one person that might be able to stake their neck for you. And the third one, which Chairman brought to my attention yesterday, if you're a woman, it might be more difficult here. Panel is not bad, okay? But it might be more difficult to get something. Intersectionality is when you multiply those 3 disadvantages. Poor times minority times woman. But how are you surviving in Lagos? 3 things, 3 heavy obstacles are fighting against you. So when I say you have to work twice as hard to get half of the recognition someone else will get, that is what intersectionality is about. So what's the solution? You just have to work hard. People come to me and say, what should I read? What book? What website? Yes, there's YouTube, Google, Wikipedia, but the most important thing you need to do, unfortunately, the same thing my father told me that I did not listen to, which was why I spent a couple of extra years. Hard work, determination, and grit. There's no other formula. But now, here's where we're going to make a bit of a difference. And I will ask you one question. If you do not know where you are going to, how do you know when you get there? You just start your car and start driving. You don't know whether you're going to the bar, the club, London. You don't know. When do you stop? The opportunity you have today, and I am taking that opportunity myself, is to look at people ahead of me and say, I want to be where he is. I want to be where you are. I'm not like I want your job, but I want to be where you are. And I can figure out and say, how far have I gone on that journey? What do I need to add to my profile to get here? Finally, and I'm using this to protect myself, I have to do it. I do this a lot. And a lot of people here are going to come and want my number. I usually give my number, my Twitter and all that. I cannot be your mentor. point blank. I'm sorry. The reason is I don't have enough capacity to mentor too many people. But there are 3 things that can uplift your career and make you visible. The last one is why I'm here. The first one is what you should start with. The first one is you need role models. A role model is a relationship between you and somebody up there that does not require you to know the person. I can read Bill Gates' book, I can follow Wana's blog, I can follow the chairman's activity, whatever I do. I just follow it. This is the person I want to be. Whether it's even Alex Ferguson or Barack Obama, he doesn't know me, I wish he did. You can pick up his book, his writings, his audio, his podcast, and model your life after that person. You and your role model have no interaction, but you can follow his path. The second one is the mentor. That's a close relationship. The person probably has your number on speed dial. You can call him at any time and say, I have a problem. I'm in trouble. The mentor-mentee relationship is a very difficult and tight relationship. And that relationship, people do not realize, is more difficult for the mentor. The second thing you don't realize about the mentor-mentee relationship is the mentor himself is looking for credible mentees. If I walk onto the street now and I see a boy playing football at the age of 12 with the skills that look like Lionel Messi or Ronaldo, I want to be the boy's coach. The boy does not need to ask me to be his coach. So you have to create that environment, that quality in you that makes me want to be associated with your success. Not you looking for a coach, it's me looking for a coachee, let me say. So that's a powerful relationship. Your mentor will fight for you, will put you out there, will discuss with you, will put your name. You can call on your mentor, you put him on your CV. Very powerful. But that's not the most powerful. The way I see it and the way I've learned. What usually is the most powerful is the sponsor. So the role model, you have no connection. The mentor speaks to you, in front of you, to you, with you, about you. Yeah, I can say that I'm mentoring that guy. He speaks about you. Your sponsor speaks about you when you're not there. Who can do this job? They're looking for someone that can. I'm looking for a sponsor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anedi. Thanks so much, Anedi. I mean, you've unpacked quite a lot there. And I'm sure there have been nuggets for every single person gathered here. Thank you so much. That was powerful, to be honest. Thanks. A round of applause again for Anedi. Thank you, guys. So, Mark, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. How are you doing? How's the weather over there? How's it been? Welcome to the stage.
It's okay. Yeah, sorry that I can't be physically there. I had some issues with my daughter's passport, but I'll be there within a week or two.
Fantastic. I mean, thank God for technology. You're here anyway, by other means. So tell us about, you've started what has become a very successful company. And it's grown sustainably over time. It's become a reference point, for within the hospitality sector. And I'm sure you've dealt with your own share of regulators within that specific industry as well. And in doing so and doing that successfully as you've done so far, you have had to hold your business to certain standards. And you have had to govern your business within that corporate context in a way that makes it sustainable, makes it a responsible social citizen, and at the same time profitable as well. So for us, for me, that I want to establish my tech hub in Uyo and my tech business, and for those of us gathered here, because I'm really serious about that 16 billion, guys, quite frankly. What are the nuggets that you can share in just a couple of minutes that we can take with us from your experience and that will enable us to position our businesses properly and run them responsibly and sustainably into the future, and doing that very successfully. Tell us, what's been your experience like, and what can you share?
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me, and that I can begin speaking to the architect community. The business that is speaking about my business is hotels.ng. So we are the biggest online hotel booking service in Nigeria right now. We are talking about corporate governance and how it can be used to scale your business. I looked it up after I got the topic. I looked it up online, what it really means. And the official definition is that it's a system of rules, practices, and processes by which a company is directed and controlled. And my business is now about 8 years old. We are quite big in Nigeria. Now we are also upcoming in Kenya and South Africa. So we are expanding quite a lot. And a business at our stage functions and has completely different needs from a business that somebody's just started, maybe a 2-3 man business. So I would say that when it comes to corporate business, and also let me add, a business like MTN that is like a factor of 10 bigger than our business also requires really different governance. So I would say that you really need to look at the stage of your business before you can make those kind of decisions, exactly how you are going to structure it. The way that I say there are 3 stages of business. First of all, in the very first stage, you are searching for the right idea, that is, you are not yet sure that whatever it is that you have thought of is really the right thing. In the second stage, you are taking that idea and you are converting it from something that's just in your head to an actual business that people are paying for. And in the third stage, you have something that people are paying for, you are making money, and now it's all about growing the business and really establishing it properly. Now, for this first stage, I would say that you do not really want to put complicated structures on top of your business. And I think that a lot of people are at that very early stage where they're really searching for the idea. At that point, you're trying to build a process or a system that allows you to innovate and iterate as quickly as you possibly can. So what matters is the speed of your imagination and not really corporate structure. You don't need the real complicated things. That can actually slow you down. Once you have passed that stage, then you move into the second stage where you have found an idea that works. You have customer excitement. So customers are really begging to buy your product. And I'll point out, by the way, if customers are not begging to buy your product, it's better to spend more time in the searching than you are scaling something that doesn't really have that much demand. Once you have something that people are really excited about and you want to convert it, structurally, I think that the best thing that you can do there is very strong founder control. That means instead of setting up process and building departments and trying to structure everything at this early stage, it is better that you have what is normally known as a one-man business. The founder or CEO is everywhere, trying to solve all problems, giving a lot of approvals, and making things move. The advantage of that is that you can move very quickly. Decisions can be made very quickly, and when a bad decision is made, it can also be corrected very quickly. Because once you go into the process stage, everything slows down. So in the second stage, I think it's very good to have very strong founder control and the founder getting involved. Now, after you pass that stage and you kind of get to where we are now, where your business is there, it's growing, you typically do not want the founder to be doing this anymore. And many people get stuck here, where the founder cannot hands off, or the founder tries to continue to micromanage everything. In such a case, the founder actually becomes the roadblock for the business instead of accelerating it. But the correct thing to do now is that you start building departments, and then you start putting those departments, and what you make high quality decisions that you trust that their decision making process is very good. And I think that's key, because if you put somebody in charge of a department or a unit and the person cannot make high quality decisions, then you in top management always need to go in and cross-check what their decision is and making sure that it's right. The second stage where you as a founder are really in control is also where you will find those people that you later hand over the departments to. Or later you can also just hire like senior people that have established themselves elsewhere. Now, in this final stage, third stage, there are really two things that need to be focused on. The first is day-to-day management. The second one is growth. Day-to-day management is the easier function because with day-to-day management, you typically have something coming in from the customer, for example, a request. You have to fulfill it properly and then provide a result. It is difficult to find good people, but it's possible. The second one is much harder, which is you don't just want day-to-day management, you want growth to come. Now, the thing with day-to-day management is that every customer request from somebody will always handle it. But with growth, nothing comes. So you can just ignore it, and there will be no impact, except that the business will not grow. And one trick that I find to really make growth work in a process-driven way is that you quantify it, so you measure. You have a measure of the output. You have somebody in charge of the department that needs growing, right? For example, let's say sales, you want to sell more. You have somebody in charge, but you measure that person not by how many they have sold, but by how much sales has grown. Now, you can't just set that target without making it actually possible for the person to do this. So a good way to do it is that...
I'll give you 2 minutes, and the rest one.
A lot has been said today, and I think it was even almost like I felt like I was coming here to just speak, but I don't know about you, but I feel like I learned more than I was delivering. Just to wrap up, I would say that from my main takeaway from this today is there are actually so many opportunities, and I would say don't put yourself in a box, don't confine yourself. I think another thing I would say is don't look at yourself as, okay, these people just came from Lagos and they just came to speak to us. But at the end of the day, right, I mean, most of us, if not all of us, grew up here and went to school here. I went to Monef Kiddie School. Any Monef people in the house? Okay. I went to Monef Primary School, so I think I just wanted to mention that because while everyone was speaking, that kept ringing in my head. Don't just look at it like these people came from outside to speak to us. We don't know what's happening here. We know, and we grew up here. So don't put yourself in a box. Don't see yourself like, okay, I'm just little me. And I would also say that even with your business, even as you're thinking of solving a local problem, rather. You can also see it as expanding and becoming global. Mark just spoke about how he had Hotels NG and he started in a particular place and now he's expanding to Kenya and I don't know, South Africa. So don't just say it as, okay, well, they said I should focus on one thing, I'm just going to stay here. Your business can actually expand beyond the shores and borders of Akwa Ibom.
I'll steal 10 seconds from this time. So I've taken a lot of copious notes myself, and this has been very enriching. I believe it's been for everyone else. I've been listening to all the speakers, and I have my note full. But I think there are 5 things that have somewhat summarized a lot of things that have been said. Firstly, that we've established that infrastructural deficit is really not a problem. So I would say it really starts with us. And the first is really skill and talent. And technology is one of those areas where, as much as we all desire first class, and I wish I had one, is one where without your first class, you can still excel. It's really about your ability as what is tested. No one cares about what your grades were in school. It's really what can you do? Can you code? What's your UX skill like? And it's practical. Regardless of whether you studied botany, one of the most successful serial tech entrepreneurs in the country today is telling me, and one of those that started Flutterwave and has a lot of exits behind in his belt. Up to yesterday was a lawyer, knew nothing about technology. But today when he speaks technology, even I take notes. So the low barrier to entry, you all can get in and succeed. The second, obviously, once you sort out the skill thing, it's the idea. And we've talked about various verticals that are weight that are ripe for disruption, and the fact that there's a problem, the fact that there's absence of infrastructure lends itself for disruption. So opportunities abound. Which of them can you unpack an idea? The thought beyond the idea, and Mark spoke about that, is beyond starting. At some point you need funding. And so to access the funding and the billions we've talked about, you need to put a governance structure in place, and that's important. And Satan spoke also about that. What's the governance structure you need to put in place to attract people, to build transparency, to build trust. That's pretty important. And then the funding, obviously. Starting up, most times it's easy. In business school, they'll tell you that it's only the 3 F's that most people would have access to for funding, and 3 F's will be your family, your friends, and the third they will say will be quote-unquote fools. Some people believe it's only if you give money without expecting interest. So, but beyond that, you need to put your business in a manner that you can attract the billions of funding. And the good news is, in sub-Saharan Africa today, besides Kenya, Nigeria is the second largest destination for foreign capital, particularly in the technology space. And that's because these problems that you see, they see it, and they know that that's the problem that will translate, that they can monetize. And of course, lastly, like every techpreneur would know, is that you need perseverance. Most times when people write a check and invest in the business, they're most times not investing in the idea itself, because they know 8 hours or 7 out of those ideas would fail. They're investing in the person. That beyond this idea you brought to me, which I know has a very huge chance it would fail, at the end of the day, when it does, what else can you do? Can you pivot your model? Can you come up with something else? Most tech companies will tell you we started with something, but what we made money from was completely different from what we started with. So at the end of the day, it's really not about infrastructure deficit, it's really about problems you see. It starts and ends with you. So what can you do in investing in yourself to put you in a position where you can start disrupting and creating opportunities from what you see? Thank you.
I have 50 seconds. So, when I spoke to you when we were bouncing ideas, I told you I had 2 dimensions, and I've only covered one, which is like the personal brand. But more important is the communal brand, the state, the Akwa Ibom tech community. When you hear Silicon Valley, it rings a bell. When you hear Shanghai, it rings a bell. When you hear Area, it rings a bell. You can identify what is happening in that place. And right now, when you hear Eket, you know what is happening there. But we have to change that because, like you said, the resources are drying up. So it is not going to be only Hanson or Edith Young and Blessing that will make Akwa Ibom. It has to be a collective thing, so that people will say Akwa Ibom is the tech destination or the best place to be. So we have to do it together. Some people are doing it very well. If I ask anybody now about El Salvador, what would the first thing that comes to your mind? First country to adopt Bitcoin. Branding, they've not done anything, they've not created any technology. They've just put themselves out there. Rwanda is doing the greatest laundry of a country since Singapore, right? So we need to do it together. So for everybody, what my very simple thing, this is advice that I wish I used to take. I still don't take it today, and I will not take it tomorrow. Start with what you have and finish what you start. If I took that advice, I will have my own foundation by now. Finally, something that you need to think of is, it's not just technology. And I'll give you one classic example. I don't want to mention any names so that I don't get carried. I'll mention a couple of names to you, and I'm sure many people recognize those names. I know those people are making a lot of money through technology, not by coding. If you know Mr. Macaroni, raise up your hand. If you know Sabalo, raise up your hand. If you know Brother Shaki, raise up your hand. There is somebody in this state who is better than all of them in comedy, but unfortunately is not cashing out on YouTube. I feel bad that I work in Google, and YouTube is one of our products, and there isn't a standard channel with 1 million subscribers for Okon Lagos. Comedy is enough to use technology and blow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Round of applause. So, before I share my final thoughts, which would be just 30 seconds, I want to give 30 seconds out of my 1 minute to Sika, and then I'll take online people, okay?
Okay, I think, so I just wanted to speak to females in this sector. I know you mentioned female being a barrier as well, or somewhat a limitation, but I think it was I just wanted to speak to the females that we shouldn't look at it as a barrier, but as an opportunity. There's nothing wrong with being the only female in the room if you're a bunch of men in the tech space, case in point. Yeah, case in point to me. I'm the only female on stage. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Don't say, well, this is a male-dominating sector. Let me just go where there are lots of females. No, why can't you be the first woman that built the agro-tech solution for Akwa Ibom that connects the farmers to buyers outside the state? Why can't you be? Why must it be a man that comes up with that? This is not a female conference, so, but I just felt like I should give a charge to my females in the room. So don't look at your gender as a limitation. Don't think it's a male-dominating sector and you pull out. No, I think everybody has an opportunity in this, and you should put yourself forward as well.
I absolutely agree. And my final thought, the four of us here came out of Uyo. The four of us here. Ninedo and Maniso, Ndito Akwa Ibom. 20 years ago, I was sitting there where you are today. And across various timelines on our own individual journeys, at some point, we were sitting where you are sitting right now. And our journeys are still far from over. But you know what? Crucially, wherever God has put us today, the four of us, we did not have such a platform when we started, did we? We did not. There was nothing like this available when we started our journeys. So just imagine if we take this platform and opportunities seriously, where you can be in a shorter space of time than it took for us to be sitting on this stage and addressing you. And just imagine the audience you could be addressing beyond Akwa Ibom, beyond the four walls of the Emerald Event Center, by taking this opportunity and this platform seriously and giving it everything you have. And on that note, I'd like to thank most profusely the Akwa Ibom technology community for this opportunity. But above all, I would like to stand to applaud the Noyo Toro Foundation and Mr. Domi Noyo for this unique opportunity. Thank you so much, sir. May the Lord strengthen your hands to do more for us. God bless you and keep you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, can we put our hands together for all our panelists? Thank you very much, Akwa Indulgence, Max Agreement Seated. Thank you, Usoro. Thank you, Uwana. Thank you, Tobasi. Thank you, Nsika. Thank you, Aniedi Udobo. Thank you, Mark Essien. Ladies and gentlemen, in a very short while, we're going to take reactions and questions if you have any. That is why I asked them to remain back here seated. But I think it's time for us to take a shout out from the head of new product experimentation at Facebook. Ladies and gentlemen, son of the soul, Ime Achibom.
Hey, Akwa Ibom Tech Week.
Hello, Ime, can you hear me?
You out there in Boulevard. Hey, Akwa Ibom Tech Week and community out there in Boabadie.
My name is Zime Archibong. I'm the head of new product experimentation at Facebook, and really just wanted to pop in to say hello and say I was super excited to hear about this conference going on. I had to pop in to say a little something about what global success is going to look like over the course of the 21st century, because it's exciting. And if anything, would give steer along 3 different dimensions. I have 3 Ps that I say are the things I believe in when it comes to kind of people building net new things of century. First is people. It's, you're taking a bet on people, the talent, the community you're able to build. The reason why this conference is together is really understanding who has the ambition, the vision, the urgency, the energy, and the talent to really take technology and put it to use and good use for humanity. The second I talk about is proximity. I have a big belief that it's the people that are going to be physically and emotionally and maybe even academically or intelligently proximate to the communities that need to be served and the opportunities that need to be unlocked are going to win this next generation of kind of innovation. And there's no place, in my opinion, that's more exciting than West Africa, clearly Nigeria. And when we start talking about states within Nigeria, I have to give a shout out to Akwa Ibom. Last but not least is folks having the patience to do it, right? Patience. At the end of the day, anything that is worthwhile doing is going to take some time, and it's going to take time because you're coordinating amongst probably a diverse set of people with different perspectives that are ultimately going to lead to the best opportunities. But if you can get those elements right, the people, the proximity, and the patience, magic can happen, right? You've spent a lot of time this week probably talking about new technology, and it's amazing what the new technology of this era is going to do. It enables an individual or really small teams to build with the same type of product development and marketing tools that historically were way too expensive for any one individual to access. That power is now in individuals' hands. So it really is just about the spirit, the energy, the urgency, and the kind of the excitement and boldness that you have that you can bring to the table in order to make your vision a reality. Good luck. Enjoy the rest of the week. Like I say, I just wanted to stop by and say hi, and excited that we're doing this.
Thank you very much, Archibong. Thank you very much. I think it's quite refreshing, finding Akwa Ibomites, finding Akwa Ibom sons and daughters doing very well in the world of tech. Thank you very much indeed, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. At this juncture, let me invite my friend and brother, someone who has refused to live with you, someone who has stayed back in you and is making it work in you. Ladies and gentlemen, Hanson Johnson.
Thank you very much. It has been super fantastic. A wonderful experience. We've learned, we've been inspired, we've been charged from all over the world where we have our footprint. At this juncture, we want to say, before I close officially, the special guests we have before us today, you are going to be receiving emails after now. But take note that all of you are going to be enrolled into a Build and Grow bootcamp, and the day for you to pitch is 8th October, and the venue will be E-Library Amphitheater, 8th October. So between now and 8th October, it's even possible that you will not pitch what you submitted. Congratulations in advance. Thank you very much everyone for coming. We draw the curtains at this point, and we are happy this happened while we are alive. Thank you.